running and running and running. Can you imagine we started every podcast like that?
Yeah, that'd be pretty clean.
It would be pretty clean.
It should start with some tunes.
It should?
Yeah.
You think so?
Maybe not like with us on it, but like how the some pods will have just like a little music playing before it gets into it, dude. A little intro on the YouTube video.
Yeah. But it can't be too long, otherwise.
Nah, 30 seconds max, bro.
30 seconds?
30 seconds is long.
That's a very long. Yeah, you need like maybe 5 seconds.
You guys should do like a Disney Channel thing where you wave the wand and do like an H.
Remember when Jake Paul did that?
I'd be curious to see how long some of those intros are. Like for Impulsive or for Flagrant, bro.
They're super quick. They're like 5 seconds.
You think so?
100%.
100%, no doubt.
100%.
You don't even think it's 6 seconds?
Guaranteed.
Oh, wow.
Guaranteed.
Money back or no?
No, there's no guarantee on this. All right, crew. Welcome into a little agency therapy podcast. We're stoked to have you guys back today. We got the Leadjolt, ex-Leadjolt boys in the house. Super stoked. These guys are some of my first friends in the agency space, and I am stoked to have you guys on the pod today. And Adam, we weren't really expecting you to come on until last second. I'm stoked that you're also here.
I'm here, baby.
We're here.
Let's go.
So if you guys don't know a little info behind Mr. John Danes and Adam Artemis, John and Adam ran a agency together called Leadjolt. But before we get into like the Leadjolt side and go down that whole rabbit hole, John, part of the interview today was going to be speaking about like your start in this space, because like John, Adam, your whole start was like, hey, we started kind of with the Leadjolt, and then that's where your agency experience grew from there. But I want to go back further, because really, John, the first time I ever heard about you was podcasting. Does this feel like a full circle moment for you right now?
No.
It doesn't? Why not?
No, because the podcasts that I did were just so low production. So it just felt like me sitting in front of a computer asking questions.
But you had some really good interviews on the books. Like the one that always comes top of mind for me is Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
But you had, how many episodes did you end up doing?
Like 23. So I'll just run through like 30 seconds.
All 23 of them?
No.
Okay.
Like my mindset behind the podcast and like why it did well. So basically I was like, hey, what I can do is I can pretty much roll every interview that I do into my next interview. So like I need to find like a smaller guy who's also connected to a little bigger guy. I'll interview the smaller guy, and then I'll leverage the fact that I interviewed him with the person he knows, and then I just keep rolling it into another one.
Yeah, so essentially off the back half of the interview, you're like, hey, you know anyone else that might be interested in being on the pod?
No, not really. I would just interview the person, and I would be like, yo, okay, so imagine if somebody wanted to interview you, and they reached out and they were like, yo, I just interviewed your boy, Nick Shackelford, and I would like to have you on. We had an awesome podcast. Here's a link. You're going to be like, oh, cool. Like, he's already been vetted by a person that I know.
And this is kind of before podcasts. Like, I think, even like Joe Rogan's podcast hadn't, it was big, but that was like just getting on the radar. And so podcasting was relatively undersaturated at the time.
Very much so. There wasn't a lot of people with podcasts. But like, this whole like online world is kind of like a cult. So it's like once you get in the cult, then you can just like leverage the people that you meet to roll into the next person. So that's kind of how I did it. And then I just I had a few people, and then I got Frank Kern, and then that's when Frank Kern and Cardone were doing the agency together. And then I interviewed Grant after that, and then interviewed a few more people. It's actually really funny. I interviewed a few people and I never posted them. So like I interviewed Dan Martell, never did that. Never posted that one. I interviewed the founder of clothes.com. never posted that. If you're watching this, I apologize. I turned that into like a one-on-one consulting session, and I never posted it. But yeah, no, it was very fun. I'd love to maybe do it again sometime.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think one of the biggest mistakes of your career was stopping the podcast, man. I don't know.
I get it.
I mean, dude, you had traction very early on.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm very curious where it would have been, if you would have stayed with it until today. Not to
met a lot of cool people through that.
Not to like twist the knife in
Let's
and
have
a little
Judge.
bit deeper. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
That's how we got connected with Judge.
It's really crazy to think, man. That was like 5.5 years ago.
Yeah. And it was actually funny. Judge, definitely the most awkward interview I ever did.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I said something, and I think I said something that he didn't necessarily like. And Judge, he's going to fucking tell you.
Yeah.
So I said something, and he was like, yeah, don't say that. Or something along those lines, and I remember feeling like kind of awkward. And then...
Did you post that interview?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, we signed him for a press package, so I wasn't that mad at him because he did a press deal with us. Because that's kind of what we were doing at the time. When I was doing the pod, then I would also get people to do press.
Now, you had an opportunity for Hermosi as well.
Yeah.
Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. Okay. We were supposed to do it. He missed it. and then we rescheduled it, and I missed it. Totally on the back of me. Wish I would have done it. This was in probably like 2021, 2020. No, probably 2020, early 2020 actually, because that's when we were at the office, and never got it rescheduled.
Damn.
I don't think he was very happy with the fact that.
Yeah, because he sent you a message, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey man, like you missed your opportunity." Type of message.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much a breaking up message is what we'd call it in the marketing world.
That's heartbreaking, especially kind of being into today.
Early,
yeah,
100%.
For sure.
So.
Cool. Well,
Sorry,
how did the podcast kind of lead you to starting an agency, or was it like, hey, I don't want to do the podcast anymore, I'm going to start an agency? Like, what led you into starting an agency?
Well, I think we were trying to do the agency, and while we were trying to do the agency, I was doing the podcast. And I think the thing about the podcast was you get to meet so many people doing so many different things, and like you kind of got to figure out what maybe made sense to do. So like I interviewed a few people that were doing well with agency, and I think that kind of narrowed us down to like, okay, we could probably do this agency thing because it seemed the least complex and it seemed like the lowest barrier to entry, right?
By the time you interviewed Jeremy Haynes, we had an agency.
Yeah. We were like, that's kind of what we started with was the press, because the press was a good segue because I was already interviewing people and I was doing media. A podcast really is press.
Yeah.
And then we were just doing it a different way, which was articles. Yeah. So, we got the article business going. That actually did pretty well, pretty fast. Like we were getting a lot of people in articles. Yeah. And, we had some pretty big clients on that.
Because that was kind of like the Kivo. Oh.
Yeah.
What's his first name?
Dylan.
Kivo. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
A lot of just like smaller websites. So like, Dylan, we had to connect with him, a lot of other people. And then we were just getting them published on different articles. I don't know in hindsight why we stopped doing that. Because it's doing very well, and it was easy.
Well, I mean, it's a good play for SEO. I mean, I think how it's sometimes perceived in our space is like, oh yeah, like you paid for this placement. It's like, yeah, but also helps with other things. Yeah. And I think this is, eventually the segue into Leadjolt. But you guys did this a lot with your agency, and especially like in something like the real estate niche that is so big. Is like you kind of need something to
look different.
Look different, or pump 100%. Up the numbers, get your website a little bit higher on the SEO rankings, all of that.
Yep. I will say this too. It's interesting because it really only like you're only really going to care about it if you're not in like a service-based industry. So like if you're an agency owner, like maybe it's like, oh dude, I don't want to buy press,
Yeah.
But if you're like a real estate agent and you see 2 pages full of articles, you don't have that same thought. You're not thinking, oh, this company paid for it. Like they just don't think that, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, they think it's legit. like they got articles written about them in the press.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So kind of went from that model into agency. How did that transition happen, going from press to agency?
Well, we were going to get our license, our real estate license.
You're going to become real estate
There's a little bit between that.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's hard to tell these stories because it's kind of like cloudy because everything was just like, bro, we did so much shit. Yeah. I think Adam and I are like the kings at throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. But okay, so I think that with the press, our frustration with that was everything was one-off. So you pretty much started from scratch every single month. I think that was the ultimate deciding factor that was like, hey, let's do something else. So we were like, okay, maybe we can just do ads services. But at that time, we were just kind of the agency where if somebody came to us and they were like, hey, we need a website, like Adam would be at 3 a.m. on WordPress trying to figure out how to build a website for a guy.
Well, I mean, that's exactly how our agency started at Welling Media. Like we were doing drone footage for real estate agents where like we would go and like do the outside of the house, fly a drone around. It's like, I don't know. We were just taking projects. I remember we worked with like a toy manufacturing company at one point as well, like shooting content for toys.
100%.
It's like if you know anything about Welling Media today, it's like that is not that was not our ICP at all.
Yeah. So we were just basically getting people on whatever, and so we ended up getting a few different people. I always like the people that we enrolled are always so hard in my brain. I remember like the satisfaction of closing the deals because I remember one day we closed 2 deals in one day. And it was like $6,000 a month in retainers. And I remember Adam and I were fucking fired up, dude.
Oh, yeah. I'd still be fired.
Dude, I remember we were like shitting the bed. Because at that point, like, bro, we were probably doing like 10 to 15K a month with the press. But when we were like, dude, we got $6,000 a month coming in like monthly.
On contract.
That was fucking awesome, dude. And so we closed a few different types of people. And then like we did the real estate thing. We were going to do the real estate thing.
Become agents.
And then I don't remember the timelines, how the timelines work, but we ended up pivoting out of that.
Gyms.
Yeah. We tried a bunch of different shit. And then we got a real estate agent, the real estate agent got good results. He was happy. Adam enjoyed kind of doing the fulfillment for the guy. He paid good money. So then I think that came down to saying like, hey, let's do real estate agents. And around that time, we also were super early adopters of Go High Level. Like I think Adam and I are like Go High Level cavemen at this point. We're OGs on Go High Level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like back in my day, you know, I remember fucking the OG Go High Level.
I remember because you guys even tried to get us on it at one point, and you're like, I think we were on like Salesforce or something a little bit more
We finally
established at the time. Finally on it. Yeah, we're Go High Level team now. We're all about it.
Yeah, but then we got on Go High Level, and then we were selling like ads plus Go High Level, and like nobody was selling that at the time, and we were just closing people left and right on that.
Yeah.
Like the first rendition of that's when we were at the Welling office.
Yep.
And bro, we were just closing people like crazy. Like it was a very weird feeling on that.
It was so funny, man. Before GHL, we used to just do Facebook ad direct to their phone. They would just get a text message with like lead name, phone number, and then they were just responsible for calling.
Yeah.
But it was like that was the offer, man. That was it.
That was it.
But we
straight to
didn't
phone.
close many people on that.
Nah.
We got the GHL going pretty quick because we had a client who was set up on Active Campaign. And I remember Adam was like, "This is a pain in the ass to set this up." Remember?
Oh yeah.
And
We used to use like mini chat and like all just like a big tech stack for basically just lead gen.
Yeah. One thing that really stood out to me with your guys' agency was the intellectual property. Can you take us through like some of your guys' systems and like your naming conventions around the different IP that you guys had for like your selling system? Or I remember you guys had some very creative names that made things stick out.
Yeah. I mean, you came up with a lot of the names if you want to jump into it.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know, dude. It was very like systemized in terms of like the naming conventions and things. So we
Started off with even Judge, bro. You know, Judge played a big pack in like starting, the name of Leadjolt. And then I think from those naming conventions, bro, it's like we always knew that we just wanted to have something that would, stand out in the market.
Yeah, we wanted just to feel different because like, I don't know. The main thing that I'm hearing people complain about is like saturation, but I don't really think we felt like any saturation because it felt like what we were doing was different than what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
When in a lot of ways it really wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like we kind of just repackaged it.
Sure.
Put lipstick on the pig.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got the prettiest pig in
But the names were super
in the sky.
creative. What?
You know what I mean? So, okay, yeah. Pillar 1. Man, I feel like I'm on a demo right now.
Let's go.
So the first thing we're going to do for you, Josh, is we're going to set you up what's called a local authority campaign. Now, this is going to be a campaign that's going to generate leads for you, all inbound. And then from there, we're going to follow up on your leads through what we call the 2-point nurture. So that was the second thing. Was
That's
2-point
so
nurture.
good.
text and email.
2-point
And
nurture.
mind you, I haven't done a demo in years. So no, 2-point nurture. So just text and emails. And then we're going to pass the leads over to our live sales assistants who are going to call and follow up with all your leads for you to put appointments directly on the calendar. So that's kind of how that worked. And then I think, what do we call it? We called it the agent automation system. That's what we called it.
The agent automation system.
Really nice alliteration.
Yeah,
So
alliteration.
that's what we called it. We called it the agent automation system.
At the time, everyone
are
was
the pillars.
doing the something on demand. Like it was a
Leads
short
on
name.
demand.
Ravi made that big.
Yeah.
Ravi Abuvala.
Yeah.
Called it real estate appointments on demand. And then, dude, that's the thing about the agency world, bro. Nobody is that creative. Like, it's so funny because it's like everybody should be creative, but everybody just rips off the next person's shit. So it's like you see, oh, I've got the real estate appointments on demand system. And then like everybody the next week is like, oh, we got the real estate appointments on it. So we just made like small tweaks and it made it feel completely different than what anybody else was doing.
Yeah.
So
It's a master class in like branding and intellectual property and just
100%.
being differentiated in the space. And it's like, that's something that we talk about all the time at Hydra's. Hey, what's our unique selling proposition and how can we differentiate ourselves from all the other competition? Because there's a lot of competition in the real estate niche for that,
But I think what's important with that, and this is what I'm like telling a lot of people that are newer to do, is we did a shitload of competitive analysis. I think that one thing that we were phenomenal at is like we knew who our customers were, we knew who the other companies out there were, we knew like what the offers other companies were running, the price points. We really understood what we were up against. And I think most agencies, bro, like they just kind of like pick a niche, they do like spin the bottle with the niche and they just pick a random one.
Yeah.
And then they know nothing about like who they're going up against. So for us, like we had such a good pulse on like in 2020, 2021, it was a company called Bolt Leads, right? That was like the big competitor.
Yeah.
So like we were constantly going up against them on marketing. In 2022, 2023, we were competing against Zelle Media. That was like a really big real estate agency at the time. They had like a done with you system. Like, so we just had like a hyper awareness of like what we were up against. And when you know who you're up against, it allows you to differentiate yourself and actually feel different and not have to worry about like the, market being saturated.
Yeah. When do you guys think that you kind of knew you were catching fire? I know you guys were saying like, hey, we got that 6K retainer, but I always find that there's like this tipping point in agencies.
It was GHL.
When
I couldn't agree with that more.
I mean, when we got GHL, maybe I'm off a little bit on these numbers, man, but we went from like, before GHL, we were probably doing around 20 or 25.
No, less. Less.
Maybe less.
25K a month?
No, less. Maybe our biggest month at that time was 15 or 12 to 15K is what we were doing.
Yeah.
Because we were making like good money, but it wasn't like, fuck, we're banking. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay.
But we got on GHL when we were at the old Welling office.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jovan and Quentin, man. But these guys from, where are they from, Canada?
Well, yeah, they're Canadian, I think.
And so they came down.
They're retired from the space now.
Yeah. And they showed us what GHL was. And dude, I feel like it was like 3 or 4 months, man. We were up at, 60, 70K a month. Like,
it was quick because here's what happened. So they were doing med spas, and Adam was expressing the stuff that we were dealing with. Adam is like very good at asking for help. If you know Adam, like if he's got something going on, he's gonna fucking ask you.
Yeah.
Even funny story, Sean Clark has blocked Adam on Facebook because Adam would reach out to Sean Clark so often and ask him for help and questions and stuff. So I guess at some point we had gone out with these guys and Adam was sort of expressing like, hey, I'm having trouble setting up like automation lead systems, blah, 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 blah for our customers that we had at the time. And I guess they were basically like, yo, you need to check out this GHL thing. Go. And then we were like, what the heck is that? And then I think we probably signed up like then and there that night. And then Adam started playing around on it. And it was like, I was like, dude, we can sell the shit out of this.
Yeah.
Like we're getting people leads and we're following up with the leads. This is unheard of. You know, that's because at the time, nobody was doing that. And I think our buddies were doing like 30, 40K with their med spa agency. So we were looking at like, man, like we're struggling to break through like 12 and these guys are like banking 40 easy. And Adam did like 3 all-nighters in a row. And
at that office, bro.
No joke.
Awesome.
He did like serious all-nighters. And he built all the GHL shit out. And then I would just demo people. All I would do is get on a call, screen share Facebook Business Manager and say, this is what your ads look like. This is the form that they fill out. After they fill out the form, you don't even have to follow up on the leads. Bro, I wouldn't even do discovery with people. Like they would get on a call and I'd be like, hey, Josh, how's it going, man? Yeah, I'm doing well. Awesome, dude. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and run you through how everything would work. And we were closing like 30% of people.
That's wild.
That's just how like unsophisticated the market was at the time. And so it's like
the only CRMs those people were on were the CRMs that their brokers gave them.
Oh yeah.
So it'd be like an EXP or like a Keller Williams, CRM. But dude, these things were like just dinosaur CRMs.
Ancient.
Yeah.
Ancient. Yeah. And then we started banking it pretty quick, like Adam said. I think like our first month, I think we did like 30K.
Yeah.
And then
it was
we
so
scaled
fast, man.
fast from there.
Yeah. What started to break down?
Say it again.
Said what started to break down as you guys started to scale? Because you guys kind of hit this point, right? Where it's like, oh shoot, like we're kind of burning cash. We're trying to figure this thing out, get back into profitability. Because it's like, I mean, it was quick. So the knee-jerk reaction is hire up, staff up, make sure that we're in a good spot and continue to drive cash flow. Where do you guys think that system could have improved to like either keep you in profitability a little bit more or be able to like sustain that new business that you guys are bringing in on a regular cadence? Because you guys caught fire quick, and we're having a hard time sustaining it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, though, we were really profitable, man. Like when we hit like 60, 70K a month, we were super profitable.
Yeah.
And we were really lean too. Super lean team. I think, in my opinion, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, but in my opinion, I think it was, we scaled the sales team really, really fast. We were bringing on a crazy amount of people, man. Like I remember it was one August, bro. We brought on like 42 customers in 1 month.
1 month, 42.
1 month. 42 agents.
Bro, I genuinely, I'll say this with conviction. I think we did sales better than anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely believe that. I don't think anybody sold the way
You
we
guys
sold.
had a demo deck that sold like 200 clients, right? 200, 400, 500?
600.
Yeah, I just think we're fucking phenomenal at that.
Yeah.
Me and Adam even joke, we're like, we should have just done fractional sales for other agencies.
Honestly.
Because it's like, dude, we could sell the shit out of some
Yeah, it
agency
would be
packages.
banger.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Adam's hit it on the nose.
Yeah, I think we scaled the sales team really fast. And as you can imagine, man, like think of any agency that is a small agency onboarding 40 clients in a month.
Impossible.
It'll break some stuff, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, it'll break some stuff. So I think fulfillment systems just, at that point, man, just like we needed time to catch up. And I think that we just sold a lot, man, which was great.
Yeah.
But then, you know, you have those back end problems, right?
For sure.
Yeah,
I think
it's hard to
I would say that
fulfill
was
that many
like like what broke first.
Yeah.
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. What was kind of like the tipping point for you guys? Because, you know, I think majority of people know, like, hey, you guys are no longer doing Leadjolt. What was kind of like the tipping point of like, hey, this isn't something worth kind of chasing anymore?
I think for me, the way that I was looking at it is, hey, as this gets bigger, we are putting like way more into it, like time, resources, attention, etc. And it kind of, after doing that for long enough, it's kind of like, okay, like what am I gaining from this? And it's like, you know, even if the business is doing well, making money, whatever, then you could still be in a position where you feel like you're putting too much in and not getting enough out. You know, like to me, almost a business, like when it's what you kind of want it to be is like, you want to be able to step back, let it scale, grow, etc. without you. And it's like everything, how do you say it? Everything felt very like there had to be pressure applied. Paul actually described this really well when he talked about working with a big team that he worked with. He said everything felt very forced, where you always had to be pushing on it for it to move.
Sure.
And if you stop pushing, it wouldn't move anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas some companies, you know, depending on the way they're set up or their leadership or whatever, like they don't have to force it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like
they'll grow regardless of
Exactly.
the founder's time and investment into it.
exactly. And it felt like what we really had to push.
Yeah.
And I think we both kind of were at a point where it was like, man, we're like burnt out. Like we want to go do something else for a while.
Yeah. For sure.
Because we push hard and like credit to us. I mean, I think we did it much longer than a lot of other people did it as well.
For sure. I mean,
know?
that's the thing is like at that scale, the agency game is so much different.
Yeah.
So much different than your first like 60K months. You know, it's like that 100K range, like you get tested one as a leader, but also as operators of the business. Like that's where things really start to crack and the foundation starts to crack a little bit, and you have to come back in and really revisit everything because the client roster is much bigger. The overhead is much bigger, and how you guys grow from there is just a different game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one last thing, I know I want to make one last point on this. I also feel like we got to a point where it, like when you're at like 50K a month, you see who to model. And for us, like, I know Adam and I struggle with this every day. It was like, yo, who do we learn from? Because like not a lot of people, we were kind of in uncharted waters at some point because, you know, there's a lot of guys out there that they say, oh, we did 300K in a month with our lead gen agency, or we did, you know, big numbers or whatever. But that's like a lot of people, they fluff that, you know, they paid in full 10 people, or they paid in full 30 people at 10K. And then for the next few months, they made $60,000 a month. Like we were sustaining $150,000, $180,000, $200,000 months for, like pretty consistently. And I know we got to a point of like, who do we like learn from? You know, we did a few consulting sessions with a guy who was doing $2 million a month. And I remember like, Adam and I were kind of looking at each other like, hey, we're doing all this stuff already. You know, it was like, so I think it was also kind of tough because it felt like at that time, there wasn't a lot of other people that were at similar levels doing lead gen. Like ecom, you know, there's always going to be big players in ecom, but it just felt like I didn't know who to like model or, you know, like I felt like we were in uncharted territory at some point.
Do you think the niche had anything to play with it?
Yeah, that niche sucks. Real estate agent sucks. It does. It's easy to scale up. I think it's hard to like scale far.
Well, it's also like when you go into, like, for example, like a creative agency, right? The biggest, like if you worked with the biggest creative company out there, it's still very, you know, like it feels still like you're working with like a creative agency. Like, but when these real estate agents went and worked with their like the biggest competitors, like we're talking Zillow, we're talking people that like could basically like run the whole MLS off of their software. Like, and I don't think we ever wanted to build that. Like if it started to feel less like an agency and like we needed to move into like quote unquote corporate real estate, you know? And it was like, so that's why initially, dude, we started building out a CRM. We started building
we thought we were going to pivot into SaaS.
So we dumped over $100,000 into a SaaS that we never even launched. And it was like
Still not even done if anybody wants to buy it.
we'll sell it to you.
Half baked CRM.
It was so
Sells
close,
you for $1 million.
But yeah, man, it felt like just to stay in like the agency space in real estate. It just felt like I think we grew a little too fast, so we probably could have made some pivots like earlier on in how we actually fulfilled, and we probably could have went more into that model, like maybe having our clients like more personalized videos.
We never had a real CMO. That's another thing. Like we never had like Adam. When I think back on all the shit that Adam got loaded up, Adam got loaded on ops. And he got loaded on fulfillment. And I actually think Adam's a lot more of an ops guy than he is a fulfillment guy. I think Adam's like a master system COO type role, but we never had like a CMO type of person. So we never even had someone that was, dude, we were in a position where we had 60 clients at one time, one media buyer making, like, I don't want to completely like oust, what people were getting paid, but dude, it much understaffed of what you should have when you have 60 clients that you're running ads for on Facebook. You know what I mean? So it's like we never even like hired somebody to look over that side of things. Yeah. It's like, so there's so many things like looking back of like, oh, that's obvious, duh. But I do kind of blame the niche a little bit as well because, one of our competitors at the time, Bold Leads, was like our big competitor. And dude, if you go to Crunchbase and look at the funding that they raised like tens of millions of dollars, and we still beat them. Like by pretty much every stretch. Like they went out in like 2021. They did a call with us. They wanted to like buy us, me and Adam, at one point. Have we ever told this story before?
I've never heard this.
Yeah, this is a cool story. So, me and Adam, bro.
Adam and I.
We were, and just for context for everybody listening, Adam and I were like 19 and 20 while all this was happening as well. So for anybody who like doesn't have the context, but we were going to Jeff Ruby's steakhouse down the street.
Classic.
And one of our sales guys at the time, we had 3, Miles, called me and he was like shitting bricks. And I was like, bro, what's the problem? He's like, dude, the like VP of whatever at Bold Leads just booked a demo with me and said he wants to talk to you guys. And I was like, what? Because like our biggest competitor, like, okay, let's think about this from like because at that time they were much bigger than us. So like at Welling, who was like the big like 8,000 pound gorilla?
Yeah, it would have been Harmon Brothers.
Okay, so it'd be like if Harmon Brothers like reached out to you guys, basically. And we got on a call with him, and Adam and I kind of like big dicked this guy a little bit. It was kind of sick. We did, dude. We 100% did, because we got on the call and he was like, he was asking us a bunch of questions like, how, like, what's your customer concentration? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, you guys are charging a lot more than we are. And like, he was asking these questions about our business and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, that's kind of why I blame the niche a little bit, because it's like, dude, there seemed like there was probably some people out there that raised a lot of money and were like super smart and, still weren't able to scale past the, big numbers. So,
I mean, I'll say it again, like the positioning was masterful. I think that contributed a lot to the trust of people coming in.
Totally.
Definitely.
But also on like the success of like real estate agents in general, like what's the percentage? Like there's a certain percentage of real estate agents that don't sell a home.
They say 10% of the agents do 90% of the work.
Yeah.
So
90% of the business.
Yeah. 90% of it. Yeah, exactly. So it's tough, man, because like we'd have clients come in that would complain, for example, like about appointments, and you look at the call log and they're calling their appointments that are on their calendar an hour late. Like I wouldn't answer either. Like, it's like
fuck you, bro. You're an hour late to our appointment.
Yeah. So, it was, it was definitely an interesting space, man. It was like clients that probably just weren't ideal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how it works sometimes. Like,
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does.
That's funny. Cool. So the Leadjolt chapter kind of closes.
Mm-hmm.
What happens then?
So I went to go work with Iman. A lot of people know Iman.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of have this like, Fight Club.
Yeah, of course.
Number 1 rule of Fight Club.
Yeah, don't talk about Fight Club.
So for me, now that I'm starting to do like a social push, I don't want to make my whole thing like I worked with Iman.
Yeah, which makes sense because it's like, I mean, it is like a big deal.
Yeah.
But
and like I just have a lot of respect for him in general.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many people that I worked with that
flex the
and they weren't people that should be. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it at that. You get what I'm saying? It's like people that are there 2 months.
Yeah.
And their whole social thing is, oh, I worked with Iman, blah 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 blah. And I just think that's just like.
Yeah. I mean, you're flexing the wrong things.
Exactly.
And
like
you're also using their name for your
your
own benefit. Yeah.
And I just think that's corny.
For
So
sure.
yeah, I worked with Iman on the leadership team with him, and I learned a ton of shit.
Client success.
Yeah, really client success, client success in product, working on product client success, and then like building some other products and stuff for him. And yeah, bro, it was super fun.
Yeah,
I think Adam and I were just both in a position where like we'd been in the front seats pushing so long that it's just like want to take a little break, get in the back seat, and just kind of go cruise control for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
know?
Yeah, totally understand that. And then Adam started working with Hydra.
Let's go.
Let's go, dude. So Adam's a consultant here at Hydra now. Cool.
Which is
So
awesome.
you're now done with Iman because I mean, for the story to piece together, we got to talk a little bit about Iman. But you're not working alongside
Left.
Iman anymore.
Yep.
And now you're doing
We're just working with guys with agencies on how to get their client acquisition in place.
client acquisition
And then
and
once
sales,
they,
right?
and then once they break the client acquisition, which I'm going to help them all do, they come work with Hydra. and that's
there
it.
we go. I'm about
So
that.
it's kind of a nice, it's a nice little segue,
A little
right?
1-2 punch.
A little 1-2 punch, you know, get the client acquisition pumping, and then you know get all that stuff in place. I think like a lot of people really struggle with like they don't really have. I just think that we had things so like dialed in, and I just think very few people have it dialed in. Like a lot of people with an agency, they don't even really like know what they're selling. They just kind of get on a call and they're like, yeah, bro, you're doing this, and I'll offer you this, and it just like there's not a lot to that. So
Well, it's crazy, man. Like even today, it's like we work with some very successful agencies, and there's no sales framework in place. There's no, you know, talking about like, hey, this is how we take people through calls. Here's the psychology side of what we're doing. There's none of that.
Yeah.
It is literally we're getting on the call and just pitching a service.
Yeah.
Or like telling people what we can do, capabilities, and then pitching a service.
Yep.
Which is
because if we would have done
crazy.
it that way, we wouldn't probably be on this interview right now.
No.
You know, like we wouldn't have fucking had an agency.
Yeah.
You know, so we had to dial the sales stuff in order to scale. So that's kind of what I'm helping people with. Some people are a little newer, you know, just getting their feet wet. Some guys are a little bit more experienced.
Sure.
You know, if they're trying to do like a sales team. And
that's kind of how any consultancy starts. But some of the clients that I started with, are some of my largest clients today.
Yeah.
You know, the one that I'm thinking of specifically is over in the UK.
Yep.
And they started with us at 60, 70K a month.
Yeah.
Now they're 280 plus a month.
awesome.
They've done an acquisition. They bought an agency. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like, those are some of the best clients to begin with because it's cool to kind of see that beginning journey of them leaning into the business and then eventually scaling to a multi-million-dollar business. And they're up for Agency of the Year for the Whaleys, Triple Whale.
Wow.
They do Agency of the Year, so they're up for Agency
I
of the
thought
Year
you were
right
going
now.
to say they're up for renewal on their contract. That's
They're-
genuinely what I thought you were going to say.
No, they're not
up for renewal.
They're
so
not up for
if
renewal.
you're watching this, we'll be sending you a new contract.
we will be sending a new contract.
You got to at least shout him out at this point, man.
Yeah, Soar with us. Shout out Soar with us. Ollie
Awesome,
Hudson and Ollie Hudson and Joe Matson.
Matson.
Okay, there we go. Those guys are crushing. And then they just acquired another agency called Hamby Media. Lucas Hamby. Shout out Lucas.
That's awesome.
He's a
Shout
solid
out
dude.
those guys, man.
Yeah, they're crushing, man. They've got their head on straight. They're dialed, super focused. So cool. And then AP, I mean, you're just jamming here at Hydra.
jamming, man.
Yeah, dude, we're building something special.
Get to
I'm
work
excited.
with some really cool clients, man, and it's fun because kind of like what John talked about. It's like we did certain things really really well, man, and it's cool being able to not only like learn from my mistakes, but then also learn from you guys, and then be able to talk to other agency owners about what not to do, what they should do. So I think it's cool, man. It was really a nice stepping stone for me,
Yeah, I love it. Well, I like to wrap the podcast with the same question because it's the ultimate, I don't want to say guru question, but it's something that gurus talk about pretty often. What's your morning routine? I've been asking every person that comes on the podcast what their morning routine is, just to show how different everyone's morning routine is. When Nick Terrio came on our last podcast, for example, he mentioned he gets up at 8 every morning, and he doesn't take calls until after noon. So very interesting concept. So he does all of his deep work in the morning, 8 to noon, and then noon after, he books all of his calls. So I'm curious to hear from you guys.
Do you want to hit it first, or you want me to?
Well, you guys will have different morning routines.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, do you want to go first?
Go ahead. Doesn't matter, whoever.
Okay. I wake up
No, you don't.
every morning.
If it's anything earlier than 10 a.m., he's lying.
No, I'm immediately like, fuck, I wish I would have got some more sleep. That's immediately. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing is I'm like, I need some coffee bad.
Yeah.
Because I'm a very slow mover in the morning. Both these guys know it's hard for me to get going in the morning. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Like I think the
I
reason
want you to be genuine about this, so it's perfect.
I think the reason I wanted to do my own thing is so I wouldn't have to wake up early.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Like, I think that's probably one of my people like my why is like this, and this. My why is don't have to fucking wake up early in the morning. Genuinely.
So what time do you wake up?
It depends on when my first call is. But now I have an assistant, Amanda, if she's watching this, love you. She knows, like, don't schedule any early shit. You know, like, just don't.
In an ideal day, what time do you like to wake up? It's okay.
10.
10?
10:30.
That's great.
And so sometimes calls start at 10. Like today I had call start at 10 and I woke up at like 9.
Okay.
Get a coffee, you know, jump up and down a little bit, drink some water.
I will have it be known I've seen this guy wake up out of his nightly sleep, bro, 10 minutes before a sales call.
Oh, bro, I've done 3 minutes before, and I fucking close them too. That's the crazy part. I've woken up genuinely.
Yeah.
9:57. You got to call it. Dude, this is hilarious.
He'll put a hat on.
No, this is hilarious. When our show rate was low at the agency, I would text everybody in the morning. So what I would do, bro, I'd wake up at like 8, text everyone, hey, see you later on, go back to sleep. Wake up at 10. Just because I didn't want to be texting leads like too quickly before their appointment. Like, you don't want to confirm somebody 5 minutes before their appointment.
Sure.
So I'd be like, yeah, wake up at 8, text the leads. I would have a copy and paste note.
Yep.
Boom, paste it.
Good to go.
Go right back to bed.
And GHL has it to where you don't have to do that anymore.
Yep. It's easy now.
Automated.
It's easy for you youngins out there.
Okay, so 10 a.m. ideal. What if you don't have calls in the morning?
Sleep. No, I'm going to continue sleeping.
You're going to continue sleeping?
No, I'm kidding. I can't really sleep past 10 anymore.
Yeah.
I'd like to 10:30. And then if I don't have
The
calls,
burden you carry, John Danes.
genuinely, I have never, my whole career up to this point, I've always had calls. That's
Okay.
You know, whether it's
So
calls
you
with team,
jump immediately into calls.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So after calls, what next?
I'm going to normally eat something.
It's afternoon by then.
Okay, it's afternoon by
lunch?
then. I'm going to eat some lunch. Typically, like, you know, hamburger.
Okay.
Ground beef, not a hamburger.
Okay.
Ground beef, maybe some eggs, some fruit, water, etc. I've been eating pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking trim.
You are looking trim.
Thank you. And by that time, it's time to go back to bed. You know, no, I'm kidding. Dude. I got you so good, bro. Dude, you were like, really?
Crazy. When do you do your deep work? That's
night.
Okay, at night. You're a night owl.
Night owl. Everybody's asleep. Get the deep work done. Nobody's bothering you. You don't have anybody texting you. No team texting you. You know, etc. So night.
Okay. What time? Like, do you have like a certain time range you like to do that deep work? Is it like 7 p.m. to 10?
Calls normally wrap up around like 4 or 5. So I'll just start then, and then I'll normally eat dinner, and then I'll get back and work. I'm a big like last night at like 10, I was like kind of winding down, taking a shower, like getting ready for bed, and then I was like, no, I want to keep working, and I just went and worked for a couple more hours. So it just depends. Like, I'm very flowy with my work.
Okay.
You know,
So you're not like super strict on a routine.
No,
you're just like, hey,
not at all.
kind of like I'm flowing with my energy.
very much so. Flowing.
Dude, we were running Leadjolt. It would be 11 o'clock Tuesday night.
PM?
Oh, yeah. I'm in bed, bro. Get a FaceTime from John. Brother, you have to jump on this call with me, bro. We're on Zoom till 1 a.m. And we're polar opposite, bro. I wake up really early.
Yep.
Or I used to wake up even earlier, bro. I used to go to bed.
When do you wake up? Because we have a concept of what John does, which is
I
not
wake
much of a
up-
routine. It's more of
It's flow.
just a flow.
I wake up anywhere usually between like 6 and 7.
Okay.
So I'll wake up 6 and 7.
I'm just getting to bed.
And first thing I do, man, take a shower. I'll pray, and I'll go get coffee, dude. Go get coffee from
Where do you get coffee from?
White Bison.
White Bison.
Dude, I know it's a little slept on, dude. It is like a gas station, you know, connected. It's one of those. It's
good. Sure. It's good. Yeah.
So good, man.
I wouldn't actually know because I don't drink coffee, but it sounds
it's
good.
It's good. The good thing is, man, it's like it's 3 minutes away from my apartment. So go down to White Bison, get some coffee, come back, and usually that's when I just sit down at the desk, man. Start going through Slack. So usually around like 8ish, I'm starting the day.
Okay.
So that's really the routine, man. I don't do much.
Crush it.
Shower, get some coffee, get to work, man.
Simple.
Simple.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, real quick, before we jump off, plug yourself real fast. Where can people find you?
John Danes on Instagram.
Okay. At John Danes.
At John Danes. I have a free PDF if they want it as well.
Wow. Already have the lead magnets out.
Agencyclients.com.
Does it go to
Easy.
an opt-in? Does that give you an email?
Just give a little info.
No. What info do you get?
Just a little info. No, I mean we just
email,
need
phone number.
email, phone number, Instagram,
Yeah.
and yeah, they'll
Social
opt
Security.
in. They'll Social Security, credit card. We take a piece of their hair as well. They have to mail that in.
Yeah.
No, on a serious note, yeah, a little PDF people can grab if they want it.
Cool.
Adam.Artemis on Instagram, and that's about it, man.
All right, let's put a bow on it, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, crew. Thank you so much for watching the pod today. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. If you like these interviews, make sure that you subscribe because we're gonna do more interviews just like this one. All of them in person. None of this like online stuff. Okay, we're gonna do them here in the studio. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.